Geauga TV is proud to bring you high school sports. Tonight we are at Kenston High School for Week 3 football action. As you see, the Chardon Hilltoppers are here to take on a county rival in the Kenston Bombers. Thanks for joining us at home, Jamie Ward, along with Matt Jaworski. And Matt, it's tough to think that we are actually at the halfway point of this regular season, but the good news is that we're playing football, and here at Kenston it's senior night, and it's just been a beautiful evening for those who are here in attendance.
Absolutely, Jamie. This is a pivotal Week 3 matchup. You can make an argument. The two best teams in Geauga County are playing tonight here in the stadium.
Yes, both members of the Western Reserve Conference, the two largest high schools in Geauga County as well, and they have had some really great matchups over the last few years, led by a couple of great head coaches, and we don't expect anything less here tonight.
Jamie, think about this, and we talked about this last week. The last 3 games in this series has been won by the underdog, so anything can happen.
You see there the Hilltoppers are on the field. The Bombers will be out in just a moment, but we have some sponsors to thank, and then we'll be able to show you the Kenston Senior Night as well.
That's right. Today's football game is brought to you by GTV and, of course, the Chardon Gridiron Club. We want to thank other sponsors, including Preston Superstore, Hazen Paving Company, Always Construction, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, by Precision Orthopedics. Also want to thank Junction Auto Family and the Chardon Smile Center.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Kenston High School Marching Band is under the direction of Jeff Link and Scott Sell, with dance team coach Mrs. Kathy Warner. The band is being conducted by Senior Field Commander Claire Rotman and Junior Field Commander Ashley Handler. We begin this evening by featuring our Bomberette dance team, led by Senior Captains Elizabeth Cooper and Elise Bradbury, to the Offspring hit, Come Out and Play. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Kenston alma mater, and as we honor America for the playing of the national anthem. Presenting today's colors are the Bainbridge Cub Scouts. today is September 11th, also known as Patriot Day and the National Day of Remembrance. On this day in 2001, at 8:46 a.m., a series of terrorist attacks occurred, taking the lives of many innocent Americans. We honor those who lost their lives, including the first responders who sacrificed themselves to save others.
GTV
We salute
is brought to you by the following sponsors: Alvard's Lawn and Garden, Shoreline Plumbing, Sherwin-Williams, Ash Mayfield Window Cleaning, Achilles Running Shop, Roniak Paving, Micray Metal Products, Osteo Strong, Brock Construction Company, and the Chardon Gridiron Club.
You can see the Chardon Hilltoppers ready to take the field. The Bombers came out to quite an entrance, and there you see the 2020 Chardon Hilltoppers, Matt. A team that comes in 2 wins, no losses, wins against North and South, and they've looked pretty impressive early on.
Impressive, maybe an understatement with the way that they've been playing, Jamie. Of course, tonight, the opponent, the home team, the Kenston Bombers, they had a nice win last week, 21-14 against Madison in their first game of the year. And they've got a lot to prove tonight.
Bombers unable to play in week 1 because their opponent Mayfield had suspended the season due to the coronavirus, which of course, Matt, is all around us at all times, and we weren't sure that this fall season was going to be able to be played. And I know when it was eventually announced that, and not just football, of course, but the entire fall season, there were a lot of very happy people and parents here in Northeast Ohio to see them get a chance to play.
Absolutely. These kids worked so hard. Very different kind of off season, but Jamie, from what you and I have talked with these young men after the games, and they make no mistake about it, they are so grateful that they have the opportunity to play, and they don't take it lightly.
Hilltoppers are going to kick off tonight. You can see Vince Ferrante, number 5, leading those special teams. Our kicker tonight is Nathan Tager, who is a young man. He looked pretty good last week, Matt. You know, we've talked about this before. We are so used to a Ziegenfuss being the Chardon kicker for so many years. For Nathan to step into this role, it's kind of a big deal.
It is, and he put the exclamation point on it in the very first scrimmage that they had, or the in-team scrimmage that they had, booted a 46-yarder, and Mitch said, okay, he's the kicker.
Carson Jabot is back deep for the Bombers. As you can hear, there's some noise here at Bomber Stadium tonight, and of course we are only at 15% capacity. Tager is ready, and it's a good kick in the air, fielded at the 3. Jabot is wrapped up and tackled quickly by a Chardon tackling unit, Matt, that we're going to talk a lot about. But hey, what is it? Just after 7 p.m., and if you're thinking about dinner, we've got a pretty good option for you.
You absolutely do. You got to get a hold of Cleats. Mention their tailgate special, folks. If you order from Cleats tonight between up until 8:30 p.m., you mention that tailgate special, and they're going to donate a portion of the proceeds to the Chardon After Prom. So make sure you do that. Again, that's Cleats out in Chardon, and mention that tailgate special, and 10% of your purchase will go toward the Chardon After Prom.
Bombers led by the sophomore quarterback, Nico Giorgio, who's number 8. And now for these Hilltoppers, the defense has been the strength. Just 7 points allowed. Last week against the Rebels, the Hilltoppers held South to negative yards over 4 quarters. We'll talk a lot about that as we'll watch the Bombers come from the gun. Counter play and ahead for some positive yards to start tonight. That is Stanley Sell, Matt. Last week, Sell carried the load, 29 carries, 189 yards, and the Bombers win over Madison.
It's what Kenston does. They've got some powerful backs that can churn out that yardage.
No huddle. As Giorgio looks over to the sideline, Steve Grubich is the Kenston offensive coordinator. In the air, it is caught. A few more positive yards. That was J.P. Germano with the reception.
Germano did a nice job there, got us back to the defender. A little bit of room, caught the ball sure-handed, and now 3rd and short.
Bombers spreading it out wide. That's what we're going to see all night out of them. This Chardon defensive line caused so many problems for their opponents, Matt, in weeks 1 and 2. Bad snap on the ground, and the Toppers defense on a 3-and-out early.
Reminiscent of last week against South, Jamie, where there were so many bad snaps. And Kenston was very fortunate they were able just to pounce back on that ball, because that could have been an easy 7 for the Topper defense.
So, back in the offensive unit, Giorgio now, see, he's also the punter, so he'll drop back. And he gets it away in the air. Pretty good punt considering where he was at, but the Hilltoppers offense will have good field position to start out, Matt, and this is an offense led by senior quarterback Drew Fetchick.
Drew has looked good this year, Jamie. Of course, a good staple of running backs behind him, and that offensive line, they have just been impressive.
George Lemaster, Nick Fay, Dylan Friend, Matt Klosky, and Jesse Dissipata is that offensive line, as we have a whistle.
Official timeout on the field.
And an official timeout as Matthew Mysick comes off the field, number 1, replaced by Angelo Ferrante. Not sure why, but Fetchick from the gun. Fakes, keeps it straight ahead. Positive yards last week. 59 yards on the ground for Drew Fetchick. And Matt, when we think about this offense, Drew's been waiting for a long time to take the mantle, and he's still kind of growing, though, into this position.
Yes, in both facets. I mean, the young man is 6'1", but he plays a lot taller than that.
From that pistol formation, wing T, look at this. Brady Toth wants to throw it in the air, and it's incomplete. That ball was catchable, but Nathaniel Sulka, the intended receiver.
Well, I can't blame him, Jamie. You get Sulka up there on a 1-and-1, if you can just put the ball up where he can jump for it, that's a good 50-50 chance.
Young man is 6 feet 4 inches, and when you've watched him play basketball, you know why that's a good play. It's 3rd down and about 7. Hilltoppers in that wing T standard formation. Man in motion. Ball carrier left side and stopped short on Evan Ash was the ball carrier. But the Hilltoppers, Matt, in an interesting position here on 4th and about 6. We'll see what Mitch Hewitt decides to do.
Well, Jamie, this is a unique spot for the Hilltoppers. They have not faced a 4th down and 6 from anywhere near this portion of the field this year. And they're going to do what they have done in years past. Looks like they're going for it.
Oh, it's a bad snap. Free ball recovered by the Hilltoppers right at midfield, but that's where the Bombers will take over. Interesting there because Fetchik was under center.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Hey, folks, tonight's special football broadcast is funded by your cable subscriber franchise fees. We'd like to extend thanks to all the GTV funding communities, including those not funding this contest for the year-round support. Our funding communities include Burton Village, Chardon Township, the City of Chardon, Middlefield Village, and Munson Township. As always, thank you so much for your support here on GTV.
So the Bombers catch a break, take over right at midfield, that star that they've got on the helmet. Giorgio gives it. That's Germano, and he's stopped for a loss. Matt, we talk about this defensive line. Miles Mendezun, Gavin Slife, Evan Gardner. You look at the linebacking crew for Chardon, Cade McDevitt, Vince Ferrante, who had such a big week last week, Blake Barker and Christian Hall as well. They just cause a lot of chaos up front.
Absolutely. They know where the ball is. They do a great job of getting to it. And Jamie, these kids hit hard.
4 wide receivers and Sell to the left of Giorgio, who gives it to Sell straight ahead, and he is knocked back after maybe 1 yard. That Kenston offensive line, you've got Aaron Manis at left tackle, Donaldo Valadez at the right tackle, Sean Doyle and Cale Doyle, brothers, also on the offensive line for Kenston, and you've got Aiden Vanderbilt playing the right guard. 3rd and long. Sell in motion. Belly's out. He's going to catch the ball. He's got some running room, but he's out of bounds short of the first down. Kenston head coach Jeff Grubich in his 9th season leading the Bombers, and of course a state title 2 years ago. Boy, what a run that was. And when you think about where Kenston came from, a couple of years, Matt, with 2 wins, 3 wins, and then to win the whole thing, pretty impressive.
Absolutely. You know, Jamie, it was a situation where they had the right players. They were just young. They gained that experience, and then most of them as juniors with the state title. I think for a lot of people, it was just an absolute shock when they couldn't repeat last year.
And the Hilltoppers will use a timeout. Chardon defensive coordinator Brian Landes. And we can see there some of the Hilltoppers in the stands, Matt. And again, 15% capacity. That's what's mandated by the Ohio High School Athletic Association. And that includes both the home team and the away team. And each of these Chardon players getting a couple tickets. Good to see him out there.
Absolutely. And hey, folks, don't forget to check out the GTV Community and School Bulletin Board services provided 24 hours a day on our website, geaugatv.org. Such a great service here for you on our GTV website.
Everybody watching back in Chardon, and hopefully we've got some new viewers here in the Kenston community as well. So the Bombers back on the field, Matt. This is a situation where when your quarterback is your punter, in a situation where you could go for it. That's maybe why Chardon had to take that timeout.
A lot of different options here, and you have to think, Jamie, number one, you got to protect against the potential offensive play.
There you see, he's going to back up. That tells you he might punt. And he will. Good kick again It's going to hit at the 11, and look at that, inside the 10. So the Bombers, who had some tough field position to start, has retaken the advantage in that category.
Well, we've seen the Chardon Hilltoppers in the last 2 weeks, Jamie, start very slow in the first half. And what they've done is they have just worn down their opponents and then jumped on them in that third quarter. So far tonight, that first possession, pretty much what we've seen standard from this offense. Tough to get going early on. Maybe they can change some things on this drive.
Man in motion. Here's James Pettyjohn with some open room. Gets to the corner and out of bounds. Big gain for that explosive young man, Matt. The senior didn't get things going quite last week, but I think we expect him to eventually break out.
That's his longest run of the year right there. He has had a very tough time. Make no mistake, these defenses are keyed on him getting to the outside because he has that breakaway speed, and they've done a good job, at least North and South did, in containing him on the outside.
Fetchik breaks the huddle on first down. Fakes it, keeps it. Ahead, and he's got the first down.
Nice job by Fetchik there on that fake, able to pull it back in, tuck it, and run.
You notice, Matt, I'm sorry, Drew looking to toss the ball to an official. One of the new quirks this year is the officials touch the ball as little as possible. And you can see actually the center brings it out from the huddle. That's Dylan Friend. Pettyjohn's in motion. Oh, it's a fumble. Bad. Picked up. There goes Braden Croup. And he is in for the touchdown.
Wow, the Chardon Hilltoppers, 2 drives, 2 bad snaps, and that results in 6 for Kenston.
It was a bad exchange between Fetchik and Carr, and the Bombers are right there to take the 6-0 lead. With 6:27 to go here in this first quarter. On for the extra point, Parker Monday. Parker, a sophomore, and that doesn't get past the line of scrimmage. So 6-0 Bombers, Matt, here early on at Bomber Stadium. Senior night for Kenston. And like you said, these Hilltoppers, they've had 2 slow starts to the season. And when you're playing a team like Kenston, a lot of talent, well-seasoned, they're going to make you pay.
Well, they absolutely will. And, if you're Kenston and you get a chance to put some defensive points on the board, take a little bit of pressure off the offense, you'd love that. Make no mistake, the Bombers will take that 6. Wish they had another point to make it 7, but nonetheless, that's a big step in the right direction for Kenston now. Put the pressure on the Hilltoppers.
This rivalry, like you said, has gone back now at least 5 seasons to where you think about that state championship team for Kenston. They did lose 1 game that year, and it was to Chardon. But even so, these 2 teams have played in the playoffs a number of years ago. We were here. And Chardon won that game as well. That was the second time they were able to beat Kenston. But then the Bombers a couple seasons ago as well, when Chardon had their year. And Kenston won that game in Chardon. So this has really become a fun rivalry. And for the longest time, Kenston wasn't a member of the Premier Athletic Conference. But since the WRC now, the Chardon-Kenston rivalry has really blossomed among all sports.
Yeah, Kenston just simply outgrew the CVC.
Here's Pettyjohn across the 30, and he breaks through. 1 man to beat. It was the kicker. who pushes him out of bounds, but that is an explosive return for Chardon.
That is what the Hilltoppers needed right there, a big spark. Let's see now if it'll get the offense going. We've seen now twice the explosiveness of James Pettyjohn, of course, last year, well over 1,000 yards rushing. Led the team in touchdowns.
Hilltoppers giving it straight ahead. That is Cade McDevitt. Positive yards from the fullback. Gets about 6.
Interesting to see Cade get the carry this early. Last few games, he hasn't really gotten into the backfield until the second half.
It's a Hilltopper team, Matt, with so many seniors. McDevitt being one of them. When you look at the Chardon roster, there's an asterisk when they've won a letter. And there's a lot of asterisks as you work your way down.
It's easier to count who doesn't have a...
Exactly. Man in motion. Fakes. Here's Fetchick. He's got McDevitt ahead of him. Holy cow, a flag comes down, though. Drew looking for that end zone, but the laundry on the field doesn't bode well for the Hilltoppers.
Now holding against Chardon. Bombers essentially catch a break with that penalty. Although one could argue if it didn't take place, maybe they wouldn't need the break.
Well, it erases a big gain, and now we have Nathaniel Sulka coming in as the quarterback. That wildcat, if you want to call it, I'm not sure what we would call it, but he does take some snaps. The athletic junior from the gun, man in motion. He gives left side, breaking tackles. That was Evan Ash, and he has a Chardon first down.
Great run by Ash. And Jamie, I love the play call because we saw it toward the end of last year. Sulka comes in at QB. Everyone's keying on him to run the football. The first 2 weeks of the year was the exact same thing. Sulka comes in, he runs the football. Now he hands it off, and when you're Chardon's opponents down the road, you look at this game film, you're going to say, whoa, he just handed off, so now we got to start paying some attention to the other guys in the backfield too.
Boy, there is some confusion right now, and Mitch Hewitt is very upset, the Hilltoppers head coach, as there was some confusion on who should be on the field and what the package is. Mitch Hewitt in his 10th season.
10 years already?
10 seasons.
Wow.
Leading the Hilltoppers. He's a 1999 Chardon graduate, a social studies teacher at the high school, and given the fact that he's got 3 boys that are working their way up, Mitch, I think, is going to be here for a while.
Well, if he continues to have teams like this one, he certainly will.
Well, you look at both Coach Hewitt and Coach Grubich on the other sideline. They do such a good job with consistency, building a program which they will tell you starts at a young age. And you don't have many down years.
No, the great thing is they're both of the communities, their feeder programs are so tied into the high school football that these kids in both communities learn their offense at such an early age, and that's a big help.
Sulka still the quarterback, fakes, keeps running left side, using the blockers very well. And he is right at that first down marker for about 10 yards.
He might be just a bit shy.
Fetchick on that carry. Now here comes Sulka. He's going to come off the field. Drew is back. Or is he? No. Yes, he is. Second down and about 1. Slipping in the backfield. That's Ash again. Does not get the first down.
About a 3rd and 2 now, Jamie. And maybe it's time to see Sean Carr go right up the gut. The old fullback dive.
Formation to the strong side, and it is Pettyjohn, but I don't think he's got it.
Now, he might have picked up 1, but not 2. And now, if you're the Hilltoppers, Jamie, a lot to think about. You're facing a 4th and 1. Do you go for it? Do you kick the field goal?
Mitch Hewitt wants to go for it. Sulka checks in as a receiver. He's going to be lined up on the near side of this formation. True wing T. Sean Carr is the fullback. Man in motion. Fetchick keeps it. Depends on the spot.
I think he has it if they give him forward progress.
Awfully close on this 4th down. And the official wants to measure.
Wow, this is the first official measurement of the year here on GTV. But that's what happens when you have games that are 42-7 and 50-0.
Let's see. Oh my.
Credit the Bomber defense. They stepped up. And they held the Hilltoppers to less than a yard on that run.
Chardon had 3 opportunities to pick up a yard. Unable to do so. And so that Bomber offense back out on the field.
One of the things, Jamie, too, when you start to look at this Bomber defense, they match up very well against Chardon from a height and weight perspective. It's something that we didn't see from the Willoughby Eastlake teams the last 2 weeks. And it's one of the reasons why this Kenston Bomber team is a perennial playoff contender.
Giorgio back out on the field. He's got Stanley Sell to his right and 4 wide receivers. Low snap. It's Sell through the line, and there's Stanley across the 30.
Great run by Sell. Had a blocker and just kept following him. Brady Toth eventually helps bring him down.
Colin McCleary helped blocking down the field, and this is what Kenston likes to do. No huddle, right up to the line. And they snap it. Sell again. Flag down. And you think about this, Matt, you've got a sophomore quarterback. You've got a team that's only played 1 regular season game. Practices were a little bit different, and so when you do get in that hurry-up offense, some of the small things like crossing your T's and dotting your I's, they can go wrong, and I think we saw a penalty there.
They did, but only a 5-yard penalty.
Stops the momentum, but 3 receivers in the game, a tight end as well. Sell now to the left. He's the ball carrier, and he breaks the first tackle. Finally brought down by Sulka.
Boy, 2nd and 10. If you're Kenston, they just continue to move ahead with this momentum. They got it on that defensive score, then the stop on 4th down. You can just feel them riding this wave right now.
They've got the play as we are at the 2-minute mark of the first quarter. In the air, and it is through the hands of Ryan Miller. Ball might have been tipped at the line, or at least there were some hands up.
Now, Ryan Miller, junior, 6'6", 230. If some Division I school does not snap him up with an offer, then it just will blow my mind. He's a heck of a football player.
3rd down and 10. They've got 3 wide receivers lined up here on the near side of the field. Three-step drop. Got his man, but he's brought down by Salka after about 7. So once again, into Chardon territory. And hey, these coaches, Hewitt and Grubich, they've had some decisions to make here early on, Matt. And you can see them getting right back up to the line.
You know, I can't blame Kenston for going for it right here. Why not? They've got nothing to lose. They're up 6.
There they are. Sell running left side. Goes forward, and again, I don't think he got it.
He's going to be a little bit short.
He is short, and so the Hilltoppers with a big stop, and they'll take over on 1st and 10.
Well, another big play by the Hilltopper defense. We've seen it throughout this game so far, Jamie, just stop after stop. Couple athletic plays by Sell.
Wing T, Fetchick under center. He's going to throw it. In the air, down the field, and it is through the hands of Alex McDonald, who was blocked out by the Kenston defensive back. And Matt, was Lucas Simmons. Kenston last week, a winner against Madison, 21-14, but it was a pick 6 for the Bombers that changed that game and allowed them to get out of there with the 1-0 record.
Well, defense again that time made a big play. Brayton Krupp hit Fetchick hard as he threw the football.
2nd and down and 10. Fake. And Fetchick goes ahead for 2 yards. Number 50, Anthony Bellacci on the stop. You know, the people up here in the press box, Matt, they've been a little out of practice as well, but the music and everything is on point right now.
Spot on.
I mean, heck of a job to this Kenston staff.
Maybe they've been practicing in the off season too.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, why not? 3rd down. Pettyjohn trying to find the corner. He does. 40. And a 1st down for the Hilltoppers.
James Pettyjohn showing that elusiveness tonight. And he's picked up some big yards along the way.
That will be the last play, we think, of this first quarter.
No.
As Fetchick is just going to look at the scoreboard, and the young man, the leader of this team, will let the time run out.
Well, after 1, it is Kenston 6 and Chardon nothing. And folks, we want to take this opportunity to once again thank our wonderful sponsors who are bringing you this broadcast, including the Chardon Smile Center, Junction Auto Family, Precision Orthopedic Specialties, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, All Ways Construction, Hazen Contracting Inc., asphalt paving and seal coating, Preston Superstore,
Well, Matt, we still switch sides after 1 quarter. Some things are still normal here in our week 3 of the 2020 high school football season. Thanks for joining us. I can tell you, Matt, that so many people in our community have told me they're watching live, they're listening live, and they appreciate what we're doing here on GTV. Here's Fetchick. He will fake and keep it himself up ahead for some positive yards. Hilltoppers, again, 6-game schedule in high school this year, and then everybody will reach the postseason. We'll see what that looks like. I mean, that'll be interesting.
I haven't heard any word yet on how they're even going to select the matchups in the postseason.
No. It really, the Ohio High School Athletic Association is just doing the best they can, there's no doubt.
Yeah, they've been busy. As a matter of fact, they just named a new leader to the organization.
That's true. There's Ferrante with the catch. That's Angelo Ferrante, the senior. And it's 3rd down and 2. The Hilltoppers are at the Kenston 27-yard line. We have seen a lot of in-between type plays. Plays where you could go for it, you could kick. Chardon did have an opportunity to kick a field goal, didn't elect to take it. These coaches are really making some important decisions. This is a big one. Pettyjohn bubbles out. There's straight ahead, 1st down. That's Sean Carr.
Fullback dive straight ahead, and Sean Carr gets that 1st down. That was a great call.
A lot of distractions, but that fullback dive might be the easiest play.
Now, Toppers temporarily silenced this Bomber crowd, but it's about to get loud because they brought their cowbells.
2nd time in the red zone for the Hilltoppers. Fetchick under center. Man in motion, Carr again. And he goes forward for about 1 yard.
Gotta remember, what Sean Carr does is just wear teams down. He's a big boy. You look at him, a junior, 5'11", 190. He brings the punch.
This Bombers coaching staff, they've been together for a long time as well. Steve Taringo is the defensive coordinator. Matthew Mysick is running out for Chardon on the far side. He seemed pretty excited. Pettyjohn in motion. It's Carr again. 3rd straight carry for the young man. 5'11", 190-pound junior.
Oh, you just keep sending the battering ram forward. It's eventually going to break that door down.
When the Hilltoppers have a fullback they can rely on, it really puts the offense in its best possible position. It's 3rd down and 5 as the Kenston Undertaker that's on the public address announcing. Man in motion's Pettyjohn. Drew wants to throw it in the air. Touchdown!
Great catch by the Hilltoppers. That was Salka.
1-on-1 on the island. And Salka comes away with it.
Second touchdown reception of the year for Nathaniel.
Big one for the Hilltoppers. This extra point can give them the lead. And it's good. Chardon now up 7-6, and Matt, that was important for the Hilltoppers to get on the scoreboard, settle down, and have an offensive drive in which they didn't make any mistakes.
Absolutely. That was a huge, huge drive right there for Chardon. And we saw them, Jamie, get back to the basics, but then cap it off with something that they don't normally do. But we're starting to see them kind of normalize it now, that throw out that fade to sulk toward the end zone.
Well, Drew Fetchick, you know, he is a multifaceted type quarterback. He's not one of Chardon's best runners, but from a decision-making standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, and Chardon this year, they have some weapons. Sulka being one of them, McDonald being another. There's some really tall targets. Hey,
it's nice to have that.
Absolutely. Hey, reminder on our tailgate special tonight and next Friday as well. You can order from Cleats up until 8:30, where their entire menu is considered a tailgate special, and part of that purchase, Matt, will go toward the Chardon After Prom.
Jim, you had me. You said entire menu. I just love their wings.
I mean, it's Friday night. You gotta go. You gotta get some wings on a Friday night. Ball in the air, fielded at the 14, and nice job there. Lucas Simmons couldn't be wrapped up, but eventually does come down at the 25-yard line.
Starting to see the athleticism of this Kenston Bombers team, Jamie. A number of their receivers and running backs have been able to get out of tackles against the Chardon defense, and this is a very sure-handed, a very good tackling Chardon defense and Chardon special teams. I mean, heck, when you have Vince Ferrante on the coverage team, I mean, you talk about bringing the wall up on that. That young man can hit hard.
And for the Bombers, even though they run that 4-wide hurry-up offense, they really like to run the ball. That's when they're at their best. Stanley Sell is to the right. They're going to give it to Germano, who is stopped at the line of scrimmage. It's interesting. Both of these teams obviously like to run the ball, Matt, but Kenston, they're out wide. They're no huddle. Chardon, they're huddling, wing team mostly, and yet at the core, the principles are the same.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of the X's and the O's, if you will, and all the spaces in between. Kenston prefers a little bit of space up front. Toppers want to scrunch everybody in.
Georgiou, the quarterback, looking over. He's got Sell to his right here on second down. 3-step drop, and he's pressured. Finds Sell, though, and Sell, boy, is he good at making people miss.
It's about the 7th or 8th different topper that he has made miss tonight. And we're not even at halftime yet. Not even halfway to half. Well, just a little bit more than halfway to halftime.
That is such a football move for that young man. Back to the line of scrimmage on first down.
Oh, for Sell, too. He spent how many years behind Jack Porter learning?
Exactly. He's the ball carrier. He's hit at the line. Hit pretty hard. That was Miles.
Yeah, Mendenzun was in there. Slife was in there.
Gardner as well.
Heck, just give the whole defensive line a tackle.
Miles Mendenzun wearing number 8. He's going to be playing football at Iowa State next fall. It's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is.
Second down and 10. From the gun, again, quick stop through the middle, hit hard, but he hangs on. Great hands by Germano. Gets about 8.
The concentration by Germano right there, just excellent. He knew he was going to get hit, but he focused on catching that ball, bringing it in, and holding onto it.
What do they say, Matt? You hear those footsteps. Great job. Still third down, though. Ferrante, haven't called his name yet on defense, but he's right there in the middle as the linebacker. And the Kenston Bombers will use their first timeout of this first half.
Well, indeed they do. Hey, folks, I want to remind you, GTV is on Twitter. Make sure you follow us at GTV Replays. That's the handle, folks. Make sure you check us out. We've got a lot of great updates about what we're doing, what's on the air, when and where, all the replays, all that great information. Again, check out GTV on Twitter. Of course, Maple Leaf Sports on Twitter is also pretty entertaining to follow as well.
Hey, every single week, it's been quiet in our sports department at the Geauga County Maple Leaf, but we've got a great staff right now getting out and getting a chance to cover football, but also those volleyball matches and soccer as well. Matt, you always do a great job for us. Appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Happy to do it.
Big play here. It's third down. Giorgio from the gun. He's got Sell to his right. If I'm Chardon, I imagine Sell is going to get the ball. In the air. Caught. First down. That was Ryan Miller. Out in some open field.
Miller last week actually did not have a reception, but gets it one right there.
Chardon shifts at the line. That might be a fumble. That's a backwards pass. Incomplete, though, is the ruling.
Boy, Bombers caught a huge break there.
Germano, the intended target. That's one of those wide receiver screens, as now the officials are going to meet. That's the type of play that is difficult to tell, and we are I guess we are sitting right at midfield, but it is an incomplete pass. So second down and 10.
Yeah. More confusion amongst the zebras here.
Yeah, the referee was saying it. Maybe he thought it was first down. They'll get it together. Oh,
that's tremendous, Trebek. I'll take what down is it for 200?
How are they going to change it back to first down?
I don't understand. If it was an incomplete pass, unless they say that, I don't know.
It is first down. Low snap, but Giorgio's got it. He's being flushed. Oh, no, it's dropped. My, oh, my. Miles Mendezun jumped the route. Or was that Toth?
I think that was Miles.
Ball right in his hands. What do they say sometimes, Matt? That's why he plays defense?
Yep.
Such a great football player, though. Second down. From the gun. 3 wide, straight ahead. Sell is hit and dropped at the line. Great job by Chardon to hover around the ball. We talked to Vince Ferrante last week, who does lead this defense, number 5, as there is an injured Hilltopper down, Matt. And Coach Hewitt talked about it as well. This defense is really considered to be the team's strength this year.
Absolutely, and coming into this or entering this season, that was always the word on the street, was that this defense, a lot of returning starters. They're only going to get better over the summer. Granted, it was one of those crazy summers, Jamie, but they definitely did get better as injured Hilltopper helped up off the field there. Hey, folks, remember high school sports is part of our programming lineup here on GTV. The coverage continues all year long for Berkshire, Cardinal, Notre Dame Cathedral, Latin, and Chardon sports. We're looking forward to another fun-filled, action-packed fall, winter, and then spring sports here on GTV. Check out the website, jagatv.org, for all of our replay dates and times.
3rd down and 10. Big play. Bombers look to the sidelines. Everyone but the offensive line. They've got to just sit there, man, and wait. Here we go. 3-step drop. Giorgio trying to find time. He's sacked.
Might have been Christian Hall who got him.
Hilltopper defense coming through. And now on 4th down from the 40. It's 4th and about 13.
Oh, definitely a situation where the options are numerous for the Bombers.
Well, remember, Giorgio is the punter. It's a low snap. They are going to go for it. The throw is intercepted. Back the other way comes Chardon.
That's Cade.
And into Bomber territory as the Hilltopper defense getting yet another takeaway here tonight.
McDivitt helped off the field a couple plays earlier, comes back on, gets that huge pick. Each team now with 1 turnover.
There you see that wing T. Pettyjohn is in motion. He's the ball carrier, right side through the line. He's got about 7.
Well, as this half has progressed, Jamie, we've seen Chardon start to get the offense looking a little bit better each and every possession.
Hilltoppers want to no huddle. Fake. Fetchick. 1st down. Don Novacek calling the plays for the Hilltoppers this year, along with some of his assistant coaches like Frank Hall, who's a big part of what the offense does. You think about coaching, Matt, and this Hilltopper staff, I mean, it hasn't changed in 10 years, really.
No.
Just a bit.
You get a retirement every so often.
And then they still come back.
Yeah.
1st and 10. Fetchix wants to throw it in the air, and it is too far.
Not a bad incomplete pass there. I threw it away from everybody. No chance of it being picked off. When you're looking into double coverage, that's what you want to do right there.
Evan Ash was out there along with Alex McDonald. Don't forget, at halftime, we will have the Kenston Bomber Marching Band. Hilltoppers band, they don't travel to away games. That's the way that it is. That includes cheerleaders as well. So it'll just be the Bombers tonight. But this is their first home game, right?
Yes. Pettyjohn right side.
And he's around the corner for a touchdown. Wow.
Boy, James Pettyjohn is having a breakout night tonight after a slow start against the North-South School District, if you will, the Willoughby East Lake School District. He has made a statement tonight so far early on.
Got hidden there for a minute in that offensive line. And the Hilltoppers now look to be attempting an extra point. It's Tager. And he's 2 for 2. As that is a big one. Hilltoppers up 14-6 with 3:04 to go here in the second quarter. Jamie Ward, Matt Jaworski with you from Kenston High School, Bomber Stadium, Matt. And so glad to be able to bring you high school football this year, both live. Audio we've been doing for a while, but to be able to bring the video,
huge.
I think we've perfected it as well. I just got a text message from somebody who's watching it. He said everything's great. So that's good.
Well, that James Pettyjohn 31-yard touchdown run makes it 14-6 now, Jamie. And you just get the feeling that things are starting to click now for the Hilltoppers offense. And you have to wonder, they've just put up 14 unanswered points. The Bombers have yet to score on offense. If now maybe Kenston's going to maybe start feeling a little bit of pressure here on the offensive standpoint. I mean, they've been able to get some yardage, but just not able to make that critical fourth down and put some points on the board.
They'll have 2 timeouts to work with. There's that cowbell. Taggart. Good kick, end over end, fielded at the 8. And the returner across the 25 to the 27-yard line. Well, we know, Matt, Kenston doesn't have a hard time running a no-huddle offense, so time isn't really that important. But at the same time, you don't want to panic here if you're the Bombers. You're in a really good spot against the Chardon team right here.
Absolutely, and truthfully, Jamie, the way that the Hilltoppers offense has been going, you want to burn up every single second in this 3 minutes that are left in this half and score. You don't want to give Chardon the ball back with a minute or so left because they might bust off a huge run and put up another touchdown.
Hilltoppers do get the ball to start the second half. Well, let's see if this Chardon defense, which is filled with seniors, has picked up some confidence. Here's Giorgio. He wants to throw it. It's incomplete. He was running away from Miles Mendezun.
Yeah, Ryan Miller in the vicinity, but the 6'6 junior just had no chance to get that one. And we're seeing now, Jamie, too, this Topper defense starting to put a little bit more pressure on the quarterback.
Second down and 10. Oh, it's a bad snap. Picked up by Sell, and he's going to go right down for a loss on the play. We saw some bad snaps last week as well, Matt, and gosh, when you think about how important that exchange is, you wonder if every team or a lot of teams aren't experiencing some issues with it.
I think everyone has to be doing it, Jamie. It's just one of those things where you need repetition to be able to do this. And when you, unfortunately, no spring practice at all, the off season you really didn't get to practice. You had the 2-a-days in somewhat of a normal, practices leading up to. But
Sell up the middle on 3rd and 15, but he's only to the original line of scrimmage. And Hilltoppers will use their last timeout here of the first half with 2:06 to go.
Boy, Sell limping a little bit now, trying to walk it off. But I go back to that off season, Jamie, and it's been interesting because a lot of these teams, you were able to do some stuff, but you couldn't do a lot of things that you would normally do to work on timing, to work on just that chemistry.
No, and even as you were gearing up it was only a week before the regular season started that everyone knew for sure that there would be a football season. And how many weeks? What would it look like? Who would you play? So a lot of that uncertainty. At the same time, though, you can see what a beautiful Friday night we've got here at this Bomber Stadium. And Matt, we haven't been here for a couple of years, but they have done such a great job with the facility, with the press box, with the concessions, with the field house, with everything they've done. When I think about the first time I came here, they have really made a lot of important changes.
For some reason, Jamie, I think that when this stadium officially opened, they hosted Chardon, and it might have been Tom Kufsick, his freshman or maybe sophomore year, and he took a beating that night, but you could tell the kid had a lot of potential.
It's 4th down. Kenston, low snap. They're going to punt it. Boy, they're awfully close to that line of scrimmage. Is a pretty good punt again, though, by Georgiou. One of the issues when you keep doing what they're doing, he's not getting a full drop like a typical punter gets, and that there's been a few ones that I wasn't sure that they were going to clear the line of scrimmage.
Jamie, coming back to this facility, though, I can make an argument it's one of the, if not the nicest football stadium in all of Geauga County.
Oh, sure, yeah, no doubt about that.
It may not have the history that some others do, but I mean, shoot, this turf saw a state championship team play on it, so that makes up for a lot of stuff.
Certainly does. Under 2 minutes now as the pass is complete on the near side. That's Sean Carr. Gets about 5 yards with the forward progress.
Well, the Hilltoppers generally don't run that hurry-up type offense, Jamie. They like to huddle, but right now they're going no huddle.
They don't have any timeouts, and they've got some distance to cover. But when you look at Pettyjohn's last touchdown, this is an offense that can break it open.
Salka's out wide.
Fetchick wants to throw the middle, and it is incomplete through the hands of Evan Ash. Was a little behind him, but probably a pass that Evan would have liked to have caught. You think about, we talked about Ash Windows, one of our sponsors tonight, Matt, and Evan's dad, Eric, was a big part of that 1994 state championship team here in Chardon. There's a penalty flag, but you drive into town, that sign is still there. And Kenston's got one, Chardon's got one, and those are the only two in Geauga County. From under center, Fetchick, play action. He's got to get rid of it. He's got some poise, though, as he falls forward for positive yards.
Well, made something out of nothing. Time now going to be a factor, and you have to wonder, Jamie, at this point it's 3rd down. If the Toppers just going to try to let things run as much as possible.
Bombers do have timeouts, but we're going to play it where it lies. Man in motion. Fakes. Fetchick's going to keep it. Bust through into Bomber territory. He's got one man to beat to the corner.
Boy, Fetchick stayed in bounds there, kept the clock running. Would have liked to have seen him gone out of bounds, Jamie.
What a run, though. Boy, that Bomber defense was all going the wrong direction. Back to the line of scrimmage. Will they spike it?
Probably. Of course, the clock won't start till the chains get set.
And there it is with 24 seconds to go. Just 21 seconds. Plenty of time, though, especially when you consider, Matt, some of these weapons that you could throw a jump ball in the end zone.
Yep. Pick your poison. You want to go to Brady Toth, who's 6'5"? You want to go to Nathaniel Sulka, who's 6'4"? You want to give it to the battering ram, Mr. Sean Carr, right up the gut?
Alex McDonald, 6'3".
Yeah.
A lot of options here. We'll see.
Go Petty John to the outside.
But it is second down, and they don't have any timeouts, so they're going to run it. Petty John toward the end zone. Is he in? Touchdown!
Wow. His second touchdown of the night. That was, what, a 4-yarder?
Matt, the ability for the Hilltoppers to run the ball there, if he doesn't get in, the clock's going to run. You can't spike it again on third down. I mean, just the confidence level that goes into that, and it pays off.
Absolutely pays off for the Hilltoppers. They had the ball back, and they put an exclamation point on this opening half here, Jamie. This is the biggest lead that they have had heading into halftime now. Of course, this is assuming Kenston doesn't run one back. But if you're Chardon, you've got to be happy with how this half has turned out. It was sloppy early on. Conversely, if you're Kenston, you got to be looking at this and saying, okay, we're a couple of plays away from, being down by just one. And you got to think, too, Jamie, both of these coaches are going to be going into the locker room at halftime, going to be making a bunch of adjustments. And it's not going to be major things, but it's just going to be small little things here and there that are going to determine the outcome of this game in the second half.
What do you think about the Hilltoppers' uniforms this year, Matt?
I like them. Chardon's always styling.
They do. They have a very fresh feel to them, a college feel to them.
I credit the coaching staff. Those guys all dress really well. Of course, Doug Snyder's no slouch either, the AD.
No, and boy, how much has he had to deal with?
Boy, him and Reed Gorini here in Kenston, they have both worked their butts off to get these kids, and not just the football team, but the volleyball teams, the soccer teams, cross-country, golf, you name it. They have worked tirelessly, and then some.
Yeah. Yeah, our hats go off to him. Ball in the air. And it is Simmons again. Breaking tackles through the middle, and he is finally brought down at the 44-yard line. The Bombers with 10 seconds on this clock.
You'd think that Chardon would have just done a pooch or something, keep it away from that young man. He's nearly burned him a couple times now.
Yeah, sophomore. And this is a Kenston team that is young. There's a lot of, as we talked about when you mentioned Jack Porter, and we talked about some of those names that, gosh.
Yep, Mintz, Tom Kufsik.
They're here. Yep. You know that somebody's here, that their parents or something. But they're in kind of a small rebuild to find those next guys. Stanley Sell's obviously one of them. But anytime you've got a sophomore quarterback at a school Kenston size, that's significant. There he is. He'll give it straight ahead, and that will be the final play of the first half. So the Hilltoppers with the momentum on a big second quarter. We're going to pause here on GTV, and after we thank all of our sponsors, you'll be able to watch this Kenston Marching Band as you see them getting ready.
Thanks go out to the following sponsors for bringing you this football presentation. They are the Preston Superstore, Hazen Contracting Inc., asphalt, paving, and seal coating, All Ways Construction, Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service, Precision Orthopedic Specialists, and the Junction Auto Family. Also, thanks going out to the Chardon Smile Center. And with that, we're going to turn it over to the fine sounds of the Kenston Bomber Marching Band.
After Lady Gaga's breakout debut album in 2008, her second album came out next year in 2000. We're going to feature our terrific Bomberette dance team with the title track of Gaga's second album, Bad Romance. Jumping into Lady Gaga's third album for our next song, featuring senior Bomberettes Kylie Pearson, Captains Elizabeth Cooper, and Elise Bradbury. Here is Born This Way. of 2020, taking you back to their sophomore year. This is the best years of our lives.
What a phenomenal job by the Kenston Bomber Marching Band. Boy, and those seniors capping it off. Great job, kids. Took me back, Brian, a few years right there. Folks, we do want to thank our sponsors for bringing you this broadcast, and they include Shoreside Plumbing. We also would like to thank Alvord's, Sherwin-Williams, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning, Achilles Running Shop, Roniak Paving, McRae Metal Products, Inc., and Osteo Strong. Also, thanks going out to Brock Construction Company and, of course, the Chardon Gridiron Club. And now, we'll take a quick pause, and when we come back, we'll have third quarter action for you here from Kenston.
Thanks for spending your Friday night with us here on GTV. Jamie Ward, Matt Jaworski. And we are in week 3 of this high school football season. I know there's a lot of Toppers fans out there joining us tonight. And there are Bombers fans as well in what has become such a great Geauga County rivalry, Matt. And we saw that in the first half. Hilltoppers on top, but this has still been a pretty close game.
Yeah, this is anybody's game right now, and realistically, it's a couple of big plays away from just being a 7-6 Chardon lead.
The Bombers will kick off to start the second half, which is probably good news for Chardon, considering that second quarter they had all the momentum. As here's Monday approaches the ball. Good kick in the air, fielded at the 8-yard line. And breaking tackles into midfield. And a good first return.
Nice job tiptoeing the sideline, too.
That's Blake Barker. Number 36 for the Hilltoppers, someone whose name we talk about on defense. But we have a lot of sponsors tonight that we've been telling you about who are supporting this broadcast. One of them, as always, is Heinen's in Chardon, who supports the Chardon Schools Foundation. When you use your Tasteful Rewards card, 1% of everything you spend can be donated to the school's foundation. All you got to do is just go to that help desk and tell them you'd like to sign up. It's very easy, and you do have to do it every year. Fetchick giving straight ahead, and that's positive yards for Sean Carr, the fullback.
Well, we saw those yards for Carr very hard at the start of the game, but as this game has progressed, he's been getting 4, 5, 6 yards per carry. Indicates to me that Kenston D-line getting worn down just a little bit.
Bombers with a number of two-way players, which is what you expect to see at a school that size, just like Chardon. Man in motion. Here's Pettyjohn. He's the ball carrier into the secondary, and he is inside the 10.
Nice recovery by the cameraman.
Pettyjohn
He faked us all out, to be honest with you.
is breaking out. And really, Matt, he's clearly the best weapon when it comes to speed in this offense.
Hands down. We saw that last year, especially throughout that playoff run where he just really took over. It was keyed last year by that jet sweep that they would use. We really haven't seen them go to that a lot this year, but he's had a lot of success running between the tackles in this game.
Hilltoppers trying to keep that momentum. Fetchick keeps it. And he has stopped his forward progress right about the 5-yard line. So the strong return has led to the offense getting ready to potentially score again, Matt. And right now, Hilltoppers 21 unanswered points.
Technically, the defense has pitched the shutout so far in this game. It was a
It's true.
offensive fumble, and the Kenston defense put up the 6 points.
Traditional wing tee. Here's Pettyjohn, left side.
Hat trick.
In for another one. And boy, he got pushed there by his teammate Matt Klosky. But Chardon right now in control with that momentum. And it'll be Taggart out on the field for the extra point.
Hilltopper's going to go for 2 again. They do not get it, though. We've seen them a couple times this year just try that.
Interesting decision. Like you said earlier, Matt, you know, whoever's watching the film may have to consider that next week. And, of course, Chardon will take on Riverside next week, another rival. That game will be at Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside's got a tough matchup tonight against a good Perry team. And you got to think, I mean, Riverside, so last week they had a 9-hour bus ride to play a football game. A 9-hour round trip. I forget who they played, but it was a last-minute game that they actually didn't know they were going to play until, I think, Monday or Tuesday of last week. And it was because no one wanted to play the Beavers. There was a bunch of teams up this way, and no one returned any phone calls for Dave Boers, and then it was this team in southwestern Ohio, I believe, that finally said, yeah, we'll play you guys.
Well, Dave Boers, a Chardon graduate, former member of this coaching staff as well before he went to West Geauga, brought Mitch with him for a minute, if you remember, and then now the two of them are both establishing programs at their schools.
And, you know, the thing, too, is, Jamie, for as close as the Kenston-Chardon rivalry has been, the same thing can be said about the Chardon-Riverside matchups. They've been nearly just as close these last few years as well.
Dagger's kick. Pretty good one, fielded at the 11. It's Simmons again. And he's got a good return across the 30 to the 32-yard line.
As a matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, the Riverside-Chardon game was won last year on a field goal, just like the Kenston-Chardon game was won on a field goal last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many great games. I don't remember that detail, to be honest with you, because I wasn't at both of those games. Like
Well,
you
you did the Riverside game because I was doing the Battle of '87 that night.
That's right. Speaking of Berkshire and Chardon tomorrow, volleyball here on GTV. You can. Do we go live on volleyball? We are. Yeah. So check that out. That's a treat. First down for the Bombers. It's Sell. He's hit. And he's ahead for a couple.
That's a hard 4 yards. That young man just kept the legs churning, got popped a few times, but just picked up those yardage. Wasn't giving up.
The Bombers right now in need of a big play, both to excite this crowd and get the momentum back. Georgiou, the quarterback, from the gun. Gives it, Sell, left side, and right back to the line of scrimmage.
It is just so hard to run on this Chardon defensive line. These guys stay home, they stay in their lanes, they know their assignments, and it's really, I mean, so far this year, Jamie, we have not seen an offensive line push these guys around up front.
3rd down and 6.
Not to say it won't happen, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Low snap. Has time. Over the middle, and it's a first down. Nice play by the Bombers. Great decision by the young quarterback.
Salka there to make the stop.
Carson Jabot with the reception across the middle.
No, he was all alone in the middle, Jamie. Ran a little slot route there and made it look easy. Big gain for the Bombers.
Quick pass. Caught Germano, and he is wrapped up. Boy, 5 heel toppers are there to make the stop.
It's amazing, too, and you have to give the toppers credit for this. They just fly to the ball. These guys know where it's going to be. Great anticipation. And they team tackle. I mean, you're not just going to get 1 or 2. You're going to get 5 like you did right there on you.
No gain. Georgiou ready from the gun. He's got 3 wide receivers in the game. He gives it to Sell through the middle, and he goes forward for a yard or 2.
Nice stop by McDivitt.
Hilltoppers making a number of substitutions here on 3rd down in what you might assume is a passing down. We will see. 4 wide receivers in the game for the Bombers. Takes a look over at his coaches. Quick snap, and it's incomplete. Looking for that back shoulder. Number 2, Colin McCleary, the intended receiver. So now, 4th down again, Matt. We've talked about this. You know, given the fact that the Hilltoppers have all the momentum, I don't know if you play the field position or if you give it a go.
Well,
Kenston's in danger, though, of making a mistake and this thing really getting out of hand.
Unfortunately for Coach Grubich, no matter what you do, you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. I can make an argument, Jamie, for both ways here.
They're going to go over the middle. Germano has it, but he does not have the first down. A stick.
Great coverage by Brady Toth. He was on him like a glove.
Referees they want to stop for a minute. I don't see any flags or anything, but they're going to meet. Looks like maybe one of the officials went down. I think he needs a breather. Look at him.
Yep. It's a contact sport. Even if you're an official.
I saw a smile. I think he's okay. So the Hilltopper offense back on the field here in the third quarter. About halfway through, Chardon has 27 unanswered points. Fetchick, Pettyjohn. And it's another Chardon first down.
You look at what James Pettyjohn has done, Jamie, and in week 1 against North, 179 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. And it really didn't seem like he had all that rushing yards, but it was little runs, it all added up. Last week, just 13 rushing yards, a touchdown, 39 yards receiving plus a touchdown. On tonight, he's well over 100 yards with 3 touchdowns.
Was a big touchdown last week, but you're right. Breakout game tonight. In motion. The give, left side. It's
Evan Ash.
Evan Ash breaking tackles inside the 30.
Boy, Ash looked good right there. That was a great run by him. Just kind of almost swam move his way through that a couple times. And usually that's something you see the D linemen do.
Yeah. Everything working right now for this Hilltopper offense.
It's starting once again, Jamie, to turn into deja vu for the Hilltopper offense in the sense that it just looks like they're starting to physically wear down the Bombers.
You've got 10 right in the box, 1 wide receiver. Fetchick giving right side, and a good carry there. We haven't called Rocco Perico's name yet tonight. But Perico, number 21, the ball carrier on the right side, the junior.
I think that's his first touch of the year. I can't blame him. Pettyjohn's run so much this game. Got to give him a break sometime. And it's great to see Mitch bringing in some different guys, too, a little bit, mixing some things up, working on some things here.
Perico in motion, gives straight ahead to the fullback. That is Sean Carr. Clock working in the Hilltoppers' favor right now with the lead that you can see on the screen. You know, the Bombers scored first tonight, Matt, on that defensive touchdown. It was a big one.
Jamie, if you're the Bombers at this point in time, I mean, this is almost a do-or-die situation here, this drive. You cannot let the Toppers score if you want to stay in this game at this point in time. You gotta stop them right now.
First down and 10. Fetchick from the gun. Perico's in motion. He wants to throw it near side, and it's incomplete, but there's the flag.
Oh, Brady Toth was the intended target, and he was covered. It was Lucas Simons.
In high school football, that's a 15-yard penalty, which will be half the distance of the goal with where Chardon is. And you can see there they're going to put the ball right at just inside that 10-yard line. Whistle?
Yeah, had to readjust. They were about a yard off.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and eyeball it. Looks good.
Close enough.
Hilltoppers get a yard. First and goal. Pettyjohn finding the outside. Will he get in? Just shy down to the 1 yard line.
Boy, a valiant effort by the 5'11", 170-pound senior.
He's looking for 4, right, Matt?
Yes?
Did you start him in fantasy this week?
No. I wasn't able to draft him.
Would have been a good week.
I think Spencer took him in the second round.
NFL does start this weekend.
Well, started last night, actually.
Yeah, technically, yeah. Fetchick from under center. Here's Carr straight ahead. Does not get in. So it'll be 3rd down and goal. Hilltoppers, so many options here. You can go Carr, you can go Petty John, you could let Drew Fetchick maybe give it a shot. You got some tall guys on the outside you can throw it to.
I'm surprised, actually, that they didn't bring Salka in to run a play here.
It's Fetchick. Touchdown.
Boy, and that good ship Hilltopper just rolling merrily along.
Defense converged on the dive. And Drew Fetchick gets in again. Had a couple of touchdowns last week. And what Mitch Hewitt told us after the game, Matt, is that he really is he's still progressing as a quarterback, and he really wants to see where he'll be around playoff time.
Well, absolutely. He had playing time last year, but it was selective, and it was really to give Joey Trevisano some breather here and there, because Triv hardly left the field last year.
Extra point is good once again. So 34-6 is our score here at Kenston High School. Beautiful night, senior night for the Bombers. This has been a reoccurring theme, Matt, that we've seen across all sports. You get your senior night over immediately because, unfortunately, you're never quite sure if things could get shut down again and if the season will get continued. And that's not just across all this. I mean, that's program to program. We've seen Mayfield get shut down. It's still happening. So they had their senior night tonight, and congratulations to those Kenston seniors.
Absolutely. From the football players to the cheerleaders, the band members, they have worked so hard over these last 4 years, Jamie. They've put their time in, and they certainly deserve the recognition. And, I understand it. There's probably a little bit of a disappointment for them because they would love for more people to be here, probably more family members, more friends to see them. But, fortunately, we're here on GTV to hopefully help bridge that gap tonight.
There is the Hilltopper kickoff unit. They've been busy. As Chardon once again here in week 3, they just continue to get better as the game goes on. And we're seeing it again tonight. Ooh, on the ground. That's a live ball. Fielded at the 33 and a couple of yards right ahead.
Good decision.
That was the Bombers' Braden Krupp, as we've talked about before. Well, the thing is, with a lead like this, the Bombers, they need to score, Matt. But when you've got an athletic defense like Chardon, they now know that Kenston's limited in what they're going to do, and that actually gives the defense an advantage sometimes.
It does. The only thing that Kenston right now has going from this, at this point, they've got nothing to lose. You're down by, 28 points? So what if you have to punt the football? It's almost, I don't want to say take a timeout, but, just take a step back, relax, breathe, and just focus on the play, focus on the execution.
Oh, it's a fumble. And who got it? There's a scrum at the line of scrimmage, and the Hilltoppers have taken it. And, boy, that just broke the dam, Matt.
Vince Ferrante, a guy that we actually haven't surprisingly talked about too much tonight. Came up with it.
Had a big score last week. One of the leaders of this team. And back out onto the field is this Hilltopper offense. Thanks for joining us here as we are toward the end of this third quarter. Chardon just keeps getting better and better as the game goes on. Shankar not sure where to go. Now he's got it. Fetchik under center, man in motion. And left side, Evan Ash got hit. Good tackle there by the Bombers. Who is that? That's Sean Patrick. He's a freshman.
Freshman? Wow.
Hey, you know, when you're playing defense on the Bombers as a freshman, the varsity team, that's a big deal.
Huge.
Man in motion. Drew wants to throw it. He's got Carr wide open. There it is. First down and out of bounds.
Jamie, I cannot recall the Hilltoppers throwing this much in a game.
You know, I mean, there's so many weapons that we've talked about. Salka, Toth, McDonald, and that's not including the backs.
Although, you know, the other side, too, is I don't know if the Hilltoppers have had a QB who could make some of these throws, too, in the past. And no disrespect meant to any of those prior QBs, but...
Drew Fetchik is a much more traditional quarterback. Carr straight ahead. Hit and dropped after about 3 yards. That was a good support group for that Bomber on the tackle.
It was Aaron Manis in there for the stop.
Sounded like he might have had extra tickets to the game. Supposed to only get a couple, but... Second down. Fetchik wants to throw. He's got to get rid of it. Boy, how does he avoid that? That was untouched from the corner position. Sean Lennon for the Bombers, Matt. And so it'll be third down after that loss. Clock continuing to run. And if you're just joining us, the Hilltoppers again, 34 unanswered points. They once trailed 6-0 in this game. A steady dose of the usual suspects. Fetchik from under center gives it straight ahead. Carr will not have the first down to the 20. So head coach Mitch Hewitt looks like he wants to send out his field goal unit. That's Nathan Tager, who had an attempt last week. Difficult attempt. This is going to be a pretty healthy high school kick itself, Matt. And you're looking at a 37-yard kick on the near hash. What does the young man have? It's up. And he got it. What a great job pushing that one through to give the Hilltoppers 37 points with just 8 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Jamie Ward, Matt Jaworski, wherever you're at, thanks for joining us here live on GTV. I know we've got some fans watching at some of the restaurants in town, Matt. Chardon Tavern and Grill. And a lot of people who in this particular season, there was no way to come to this game tonight. And so to be able to watch live is a good thing.
Absolutely it is, and we're happy to be here and do what we do best.
There you see that Chardon crowd.
What, 2 tickets per family for away game, or 2 tickets per player?
I know that's for the home.
I thought the home was 4.
I think it's 2 for the football players, and I don't know exactly. It's limited.
And not the way it used to be. But that's okay. We'll get through it this year, and hopefully next year will be a little bit different. But Jamie, it just, the Hilltoppers, and we talked about the offense, we've talked about the defense. That field goal just showed again the power that this team has on special teams. It's not a Ziegenfuss, but it didn't matter.
Bombers take a timeout on the kickoff return. That's something you don't see very often.
Well, folks, we want to take this time and thank our sponsors, including the Chardon Smile Center, also the Junction Auto family. Thanks going out to Precision Orthopedic Specialties. And we certainly appreciate the support of Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service and Always Construction. Thanks also going out to Hazen Contracting Inc., asphalt paving and asphalt paving and seal coating. And of course, the Preston Superstore. Thank you so much for supporting high school football here on GTV. You hear Sweet Caroline as we begin action to start this 4th quarter. A little bit of Neil Diamond. I would sing, but Dave told me I'm not allowed anymore. Yeah, I know. Topper set to kick it off. Running clock for the 3rd straight game for Chardon. Is that ball going to take a bounce and be eventually picked up near the 15-yard line? Imagine at some point in this one we're going to begin to see the second-string players for both squads. Of course, only time will tell on that one. Hilltoppers still have the starting defense out there, and I imagine that we're going to see Sell and company return to the field as well. So the Bombers come to the line. They're going to once again spread it out. 2 receivers near side, a receiver to the far side. 1 back in the backfield. And wave that play off. Well, something has happened, and we're hearing an emergency we need to call. We need to take a timeout here on GTV.
Welcome back. One of the Kenston coaches seems to be okay, but had to be taken off the field. And so we obviously wish the best, Matt, for him and for the entire Kenston football family.
Absolutely.
Bombers on 1st and 10 Going to give it to Sell, running left side. Good gain before going out of bounds. Salka pushed him out. It is a first down. Well, the Bombers, they scored 6 points early on in this first quarter on a defensive touchdown.
Yeah, it was looking good at that point in time for Kenston, Jamie, but things just, unfortunately for the Bombers, didn't get any better from that point in time. They had some opportunities, but the Chardon defense stepped up, made a big plays. They've had a couple of turnovers in this game, and the Bombers' offense just cannot get on track.
Giorgio's going to throw it over the middle, and it is caught by Germano. No, it hit the ground. Boy, quite an effort. Now, I know we don't know all the new rules, but there's no instant replay in high school yet, is there?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, we are under a running clock at this point.
Yeah, you're right. 31 points, the lead for the Hilltoppers. Good effort. Georgiou, the quarterback, fakes it, rolling out, and he is brought down. A flag does come out by the referee, and it is against Kenston, which will likely be declined, given that it was already second down. It is, so it'll be third and long for the Bombers.
Boy, you commit a holding penalty and the QB still gets sacked.
Yeah.
It's not going to look good on the films tomorrow.
Third down and about 17, 18. And there's the ball carrier for the Bombers just across the line of scrimmage. Looks like Ben DeMarco on the carry. Ha! So it will bring up fourth down. Kenston will, it appears, go for it. Remember, their quarterback is their punter. And now he'll drop back in a punting formation. So kick is up. Low line driver. And it does take a nice bounce for the Bombers.
Boy, what a great punt.
Those quick and short ones. Well, Matt, the Hilltoppers, you know, I hate to keep bringing it up, but slow start, strong finish, and we've got a team that's about to go 3-0 using that recipe right now.
Absolutely, and they just came in tonight. They made a lot of mistakes early on. The Bombers nearly capitalized on a couple of those mistakes, Jamie, but Chardon overcame them, able to get some points on the board here in the first half, and punctuated again with another big third quarter. And right now the Toppers, they have the subs in and are just looking to run down this clock and head home to Chardon as they will begin to prepare starting tomorrow for that Week 4 matchup at Riverside. And meanwhile for Kenston, game number 2 for them, but things are going to get better because they face North next, and that's a team that based on what
are you saying about North?
I'm saying Kenston is going to be in a good position to pick up win number 2 next week. And no disrespect meant to North, but
no, none at all.
This Kenston team has given Chardon a much tougher run for their money tonight than North did.
Boy, the weather in Week 1, as if things couldn't be strange enough. Hey, if you're watching us at home like Dennis and Lillian Graw over on North Street, thanks for staying with us, because Week 1 was difficult with the weather and trying to work out some of the kinks.
Yeah, electronics and rain just don't mix.
They don't. It's 3rd down and about 4 for the Hilltoppers. Running right side. And stop short of that 1st down. It looked like Rocco Perico as the ball carrier. So 4th down and about 2. Hilltoppers, I don't believe, have punted yet tonight, have they?
No.
Looks like they're going to try their first one.
Of course, helps if you have everybody on the field, too.
That's the Hilltopper up back was the one who was running the huddle there. That's Sean Carr. Is pretty good kick. Simmons is the one back. Does take a Chardon bounce. Inside that 30 down to about the 29-yard line. Well, Matt, we are in year what? Brian, what year are we in here on GTV?
26 maybe?
24 into 25, if you
Wow.
can imagine. And, of course, we'll be with the Hilltoppers for the rest of the season next week at Riverside. If you can't make it, which you probably can't, you should tune in. 7 p.m. Friday. Hilltoppers then come back home again, Matt, right, against Mayfield.
Yeah, last regular season home game of the year.
Then hopefully they travel to Brush before the postseason starts. And let's be honest, what we've seen out of this Chardon team, they're probably going to play more than one postseason game.
You'd like to think so. Great run by Sells. He's picking his way toward the right side, getting near midfield.
Still in the game, Stanley, once again, he carried the ball last week 29 times for 189 yards, was the workhorse. That was as many yards as the Hilltoppers had total rushing. As we will stop the clock. Referee timeout. Maybe a water break.
Not that warm tonight, though. You know, the temperature has been pretty nice for these football players. Been in the low 60s, high 50s. Of course, dew starting getting on the field, making a little bit slick at this point in time, but you just get used to that as the season goes on. Jimmy, you talked about Chardon's schedule. You look at what the Bombers have coming up, and they are home the next 2 weeks. Home against North, home against Orville. And then they close out this season with a game at Willoughby South.
That South game should be interesting.
If you say so.
It'll be a different kind of Western Reserve Conference, obviously. Not everybody gets the chance to play everybody, so you won't have a true champion like you do in years past.
On the other hand, though, if one team is undefeated and the rest aren't,
pretty easy.
Just in conference play. And next week is going to go a long way in determining that when Toppers play Riverside.
1st and 10 as the ball carrier for the Bombers. That's Ben DeMarco, who's stopped back behind the line of scrimmage.
I think that was Brody Dotson in on the stop.
Second down. Same DeMarco. Couple of yards.
Looked like Charlie Broach in on that stop for the Toppers.
Boy, Charlie had a big touchdown last week, didn't he?
Huge.
That was fun to see.
He's a young man putting a lot of time and an effort, and a senior.
Yeah, let's
made a
hope we
big
see
play.
him. Let's hope we see him on GTV on the wrestling mat this winter. Third down for the Bombers. They're going to throw it. It is caught by Germano, but nowhere near the required yardage. It's always can be frustrating when you run a great play, which they did, but you needed 8, not 3, and so it'll be fourth down.
Well, it's just been a tough night for the Kenston offense. They faced a very good Chardon team. They didn't get to play in week 1 of the season. You know, this is an offense that really, when you look at it, they really rely on timing for a lot of the stuff that they do. And it's just, you know, I hate to say it, I don't know if this offense was built for this kind of an off season that they had. And it's no, you know, it's not the kids' fault. It's not the coach's fault. You know, you have to go with the players that you have, and they've got some good players. But you know, I think that Chardon playing Kenston now maybe is a break for the Hilltoppers compared to if they would be playing Kenston later in the season.
Well, the timeout taken by the Bombers. You know, while we're watching this high school football game here tonight, Matt, on a Friday night, I think about all the different schools in our area, all the challenges that they face in getting back to school. The parents' decision on what they're going to do, the administrators and the teachers, and just what everybody has pulled together to go through in so many different ways, because there are no right answers on what to do. But when I think of Kenston and Chardon, I think of some of the more capable people to make those decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think about you know, my little guy Peter, who's started second grade this week, every day at Chardon, and Walter and Arthur as well, who I know are watching us right now, which is why I brought them up, Matt. So thanks for watching.
Nice job, Dad.
GTV. Well, not much time left here. It's fourth down for the Bombers. Coach Grubich calling the plays right now. Quick drop. It's got time. Complete. And they pick up the first down. Good job there. Good decision making by this young Kenston quarterback who, you know, he's just a sophomore, Matt. And when you're at a program like Kenston, it's significant to be able to get that call at that level.
Absolutely. So they found the junior tight end. You know, I would like to see them use Ryan Miller a little bit more on the offense, go to him more. I mean, the kid's 6'6". They got to find a way to get him the ball. He may not be as explosive as some of the other guys, but he's got some height.
Nowhere to go there as that. It will be the final play of tonight's game. Our final score, the Hilltoppers, a winner again, 37-6 over their Geauga County rivals. And the Kenston Bombers, as they exit the field, and you see Chardon there. We don't shake hands anymore, Matt, obviously, so they're figuring out that as they go as well. But the Hilltoppers getting this 3-0 victory again tonight, and they have to feel pretty good about where they're at.
Well, they absolutely do have to feel good. And you know, if you're Chardon, again, it's just keeping things going here and getting ready for what's going to be a big and pivotal game next week against Riverside.
All right, we'll take a break and come back here on GTV.
High school football on GTV brought to you by the Chardon Smile Center. We also would like to thank the Junction Auto family. Precision Orthopedic Specialists. The Burr Funeral Home and Cremation Service. Always Construction. Hazen Contracting, Inc., Asphalt Paving and Seal Coating. The Preston Superstore. And also, we want to thank our additional sponsors, Shoreside Plumbing, Alvord's, Sherwin-Williams, Ash's Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, Achilles Running Shop, Roniak Paving, McRae Metal Products, and OsteoStrong. And also thanks to Brock Construction and the Chardon Gridiron Football Club. Well, with that, we wrap things up here from Kenston. Again, the final tonight, Chardon 37 and Kenston 6 toppers. It was another big third quarter for Chardon as they just wore out Kenston down the stretch in this one.
Absolutely. And you see them down there on the field, distanced and listening to their head coach. Great night tonight for the Hilltoppers here at Bomber Stadium. Our thanks goes out to our executive producer, Dave Jevnikar, Chris Graw, and Brian Foster as well. Spencer, thanks for all that you do, and Matt. Hey, we've been working together for a while. It was another great game.
A lot of fun.
Thanks for watching GTV. We'll see you soon.